How's the theme song go?
Well, this is week 5.
There we go. All right.
And we're live.
What's up, YouTube?
What's happening,
All right,
guys?
and now Facebook.
Yeah. Second week in a row on Facebook. Those guys really enjoy it over there.
Yeah, right on.
Especially, and if you're not following, go follow down in the description. There's a link to Ryan's Facebook page where all the behind the scenes 360 stuff is happening.
Almost every day.
You want to watch it.
Sometimes more than once.
Something more than once. Yeah.
All right, so here's what you're going to see today. You're going to see how we had a big, nasty bacterial bloom in the tank in 3 days. We solved it already. We also solved a whole bunch of electrical problems. We solved a whole bunch of fire problems.
Yep.
We maybe locked the door. We actually did all kinds of different things, and there's gems in here. We also deal with a whole bunch of generator stuff, all the history of all the different power solutions I've done. You're going to hear about all of that today. All of this stuff, absolute little gems and nuggets that you can apply to your own tanks going forward. So, I don't know. Let's see.
Oh, and the preview for the next week, too. So at the end, we're going to tell you what next week is. Another really awesome one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you're not going to believe it when you see the photo.
For those of you who know how long it takes to fill a tank at 75 gallons per day with an RO system, different solution.
Totally different solution. Yeah. All right. So we're just going to dive right into it. And so this is about 36 hours into we filled the tank with fresh water from my well. Boom. All right. That is the cloudiest water I have ever seen inside of 3 days. Yeah. For a tank that's it's not even heated.
No, and understandably, this is not salt water, but it is just well water. So there's bacteria naturally in there, right?
Yeah. So I forgot I was going to put a sheet up here, but it has my Culligan water report said it has iron eating bacteria and sulfur eating bacteria in it.
Oh, okay.
So that's my only guess is that
some of those bacterias.
Yeah, it's only like 70-degree water. It's like room temp water now. So, but it's ice cold out of the ground. So whatever it was living at before is really scaled up. But in 3 days, it went to that. In fact, most people that saw this post said, "There's no way that could even be."
Yeah, I've never seen it.
There's no way you could have a bacterial bloom inside of 3 days. And I was like, "Oh God, it looks exactly like that."
Yeah, well,
but I understand what you're saying.
And when you first filled up the tank, it was crystal clear. Like the first day, second day, crystal clear. And like you said, it's weird that with no heat, but.
Well, people said if you were running filter socks, you wouldn't have that, but it was. So next photo.
The good thing is now you get to test something that you installed too, right?
Yep. So this is that fleece roller. So it was pulling some stuff out, but not like enormous amounts or anything. And so what we did is turn on the UV. So there it is. UV and it's pretty little glow. We turned on both of them just to see what happens, and 24 hours later, this is what the tank looks like.
Amazing.
Yeah, so problem totally solved.
A freshwater bacterial bloom, and we've seen it happen with saltwater bacterial blooms for sure. Obviously, I can't believe that 24 hours later.
So actually, Dave, go back. There's another video, that one right there. Okay, so this is how cloudy it was. I went and actually took a picture of video of my face afterward.
You can't
even see
Oh,
me.
there it is.
It's so dirty.
Holy
that
cow.
was the evening before, and this is the same time the evening later on, going back to this. The UV totally cleared it all up.
That's amazing.
It's all gone.
That's amazing.
So definitely was a bacterial bloom. Yep. Could have been the sulfur, iron-eating bacteria in my water. I have no idea. Yeah. I've never seen anything like that before in fresh water, even saltwater that fast. Never that fast. So pretty happy the UV's in there now.
Well, and this isn't the water that you're actually going to mix salt water with and use in the tank. You're going to filter it a little more, but this is just a test run.
Yeah. So we're getting on to electrical today. Oh, go ahead.
Well, and I mean, so from that re-sparked some things that we used to do with some BRSTV Investigates tests, and I think we're starting up some more UV tests again now too.
It did. It made me get really interested in it again all of a sudden. So there's 2 different experiments that are going to start out. I guess we'll leak them real quick. So the first one is going to be the UV at high and low and no UV flow rates for bacteria and algae.
From the beginning, starting the cycle.
Double though this time. So there'll be 2 dry rocks or dry rock in all of them, but 2 low, 2 high, 2 nothing. So we see if we can get redundant results out of it. And we can watch what happens. And then we're also going to do Brightwell's dry rock kit So haven't figured out the exact details on this one, but you're going to be able to see how fast does it actually cycle versus nothing. The ghost or the ammonia cycling method.
Yeah, fishless. Yep.
And then how well the microbacter clean actually works afterward to keep all the gunk and stuff off of the rock. So you get to watch that unfold as well.
Yeah,
cool. So it did. It actually did. It sparked those desires, and so those things are rolling now. All right, so dive into electrical.
So that bacterial was the first problem, but now we got called out weeks ago for the electrical job that we did. I mean, I'll take partial blame for it because I'm the one that screwed them into inside the wall, but this is what we had when we first started.
It was my idea. So you can see those things are facing downward, right?
Inside the wall. I mean, the thought process was smart here. Let's just automatic drip loops. If you mount them upside down, tuck them into the wall so it's out of the way.
So Randy did install them that way while I filmed. We both got a little forearm workout trying to get that thing in there. There were some screws. And so that was the idea. And if you can see the next photo here, then they were automatic drip loops. Except for this is the problem that you're about to see. So there's a couple of problems. This is against fire code once we put wall over it. So show that next photo. So this is the issue, the big one. Other than the fact that it's behind the wall, is if you can see how you can see the plug there in just a little bit.
Yep.
What will happen over time is because it's upside down like that, if it gets little tugs on it or anything, it'll slowly wiggle out of there, and eventually could get loose enough that it starts to arc across those things.
Yes.
And the sad part is you won't be able to see it. So you won't be able to see that arc going on there because it's covered up by the wall. Super huge fire hazard. And one of the things that got me super motivated about it was, I mean, I probably would have anyway after it was like explained to me because instantly it sounds really stupid to do that.
Right.
But if you do that, your house insurance is no longer going to cover your fire in your house.
Yeah, because you messed up the up to code outlets.
Yeah, that's a terrible thing, man. So like, there's things in your house you may or may not have up to code, but like that one, man, because like this isn't just some random outlet like you plugged your projector into or something. Like this thing's near a lot of water.
And it's drawing power constantly. It's toggling off and on. And the scariest part is that like you said, with the plug upside down and arcing over time, you've probably actually increased your chances of a fire, potential fire, rather than decreased them by getting rid of the drip loop problem. Right? What outlets on the side of the wall arc like that over time? Not hardly.
Yeah, well, you'd see it if it happened.
Yeah.
All right, so because Charlie here was the one that pestered me about it immediately, I walked out of this door from last week's live and got on my case, I invited Charlie over to help. So there he is. There's Charlie over there helping install these outlets. So
fixing what we broke.
Yeah, so the new solution here is to, let's see here, the new solution is to cut out a hole in the ceiling, and part of the problem is the outlets were mounted, too high for our use.
Yeah, like 5 feet, 5.5 feet or so.
Yeah, and you can't just screw nut them together in the wall and bring them down. Anywhere you make a connection, you actually have to have access to it.
Yeah.
So you'd have like an empty little box with a cover where you could access, or you can just put an outlet in and daisy chain off them. I think like 6 is the most duplexes you could do. It probably varies in your area, but in this case, so we had one outlet up there, and we'll just add another outlet down below off of it. So I almost would have just put an empty box up there, but like while you're at it, might as well have an outlet. Who knows if you'll use it?
Yeah, why not have a couple outlets on top, couple outlets on bottom? You'll use them eventually.
All right, so so we had to cut out of the board to do this. So it was, we're getting kind of pretty good at this. I got to tell you, this expanded PVC is so easy to work with.
Yeah, this is some of the easiest material. This saw glides right through it. The hard part for us is, so our first foray into cutting out the right box was when we went to the light switch panel and the entryway on the door, and we did pretty good at that, except for it took like 7 passes of, all right, hold it up there. Nah, it's about shave a little off. Hold it up there, shave a little off. Surprisingly, we got this one done in like 3 passes. The first one was like 2.
That was pretty easy. And then, so we're going to mount the outlets up high there, and then down low, we put it in this guy here. So this is one of those outdoor outlets. You know, it has a little glass or plastic dome that's over it, and you stick the cord in from the side, and it's a built-in drip loop for the most part, and protected. Because honestly, down that low, I just don't know what's going to happen. It's out of sight. It's out of mind. I just like. I can't. I had to get down there to look at it. I just want to know that it's safe as possible, and it was like, you know, an extra $10 or something for a box.
I mean, water can only splash one of two ways: to the back or to the front, maybe to the sides. But because of how long that sump is, to the back and to the front's the more likely. In which case, that's right where the outlets are, right up against the back wall. So why not have them protected to begin with?
Yeah.
And on those boxes, you can close the lid with the cord, with cords coming out of them.
Yeah, there's a little, like a little plastic guard you pull out, and you can have the cord going.
Oh, yeah.
So this isn't the kind of thing a lot of people would put in their living room, even though you could, just because it sticks out. But if it's in your fish room, or it's behind your stand, or wherever, like, and it just, why not? You know, it's like, even think about it right now. If you go look and you've ever seen water or anything near those outlets, go spend the $10. Just take your faceplate off and screw the thing on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I saw it and I was like, you know what? I'm not 100% sure of the value of this thing, but I know that it will help protect it, and especially in areas where I don't frequently see or look.
So you've got 3 of those underneath the sump now?
There's 3 of them now, all on 3 separate circuits.
Yeah.
So we put a little duplex on the top, goes down into one. So there's 3 circuits there that are only used for the tank. And you're going to see why I probably end up using all 3 of them, because the heaters, the lights, and
the UVs,
it's probably
the
like
pumps,
mainly heater one, mainly lighting one, mainly everything else.
Yep, that makes sense.
So, all right, so what's the next one here? All right, so you can see where the duplexes went in too high. Or not, there, 2 of them are up high.
So you've moved these 2 up here because they were about, a half a foot below the white grate.
Yep.
But now you see 2 of them up top, and I led you onto the black face plates. They exist. So
I know I almost did white.
Those just be weird.
Thank you. So again, those ones, if you go back to that, Dave, those ones there, honestly, I don't think we'll ever use. There's a possibility I'll use them for the lighting or something, but I really don't think we're ever going to use. They're mainly just to have access point to be able to bring the thing lower.
And an outlet if you want. But I could, if you're filming in here, maybe you'd have some of those filming lights or something.
They're pretty
up
high
on top.
up, so I may find a use for them. I may not.
They're there if you need them.
Yeah. So then the next one actually we'll probably use. So this is actually 2 different circuits inside the same box, actually.
Yeah.
So the left circuits are 15 amps, and the right 2 right duplexes, right. And one of those actually goes down to
the third box.
The third box underneath the sump. The other one is actually I'm going to be able to plug stuff in, to plug in something to clean inside of the sink.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have your skimmer in the sink and you kind of want to fill the sink up with and run it, then just boom, right there.
I want to plug my pump in to clean it or whatever.
That makes sense.
And then all of those going over to the breaker here. So you'll see the 3 or the 4 of them there. Those are all the 4 different circuits there. They're all GFCI at the breaker.
Yeah.
So the breaker's in that room, so it's super easy to turn them back on. And then we tested the GFCIs here. So this is like a pretty cheap tool too. You can just insert it. The 2 little lights come on, tells you that it's working. Push the button on the bottom, and it trips the breaker.
I was saying I need one of these for like some handyman jobs and stuff. This is awesome.
Yep, tripped it like it's supposed to, and we go put it back. So we went and checked all the outlets just to make sure that the GFCI is all working the way that it's supposed to, and the outlets are wired, properly.
Awesome.
So I don't know. That was pretty much it. And then we go to now how you actually plug stuff in, because there's outlets. I'm not actually plugging most of the stuff into an outlet.
No, and I mean, what do 2 outlets get you? And you don't want, the power strips and all this. So obviously we're going to use the Apex.
Yeah, of course. So that's what we're mounting, the Apex power bars and the Apex actually down below the sump.
Yeah.
So you can see it down there. I'm going to have it there because I don't want to see cords. And that's where all the pumps and stuff are down there. They're not up higher.
Yeah, true.
So I'm going to route all of it down there. And a lot of this, you can inherently see how the cords are going to come in and create a drip loop going just into the power bar.
Right.
Now, I'm not 100% certain that I'm going to keep those things there. I might try to get the EB8 power strip like a little higher so there is always a drip loop.
Oh, yeah.
So like if you can see right behind that brace there, I might try to scoot them back up there. But that's where we put them today. And it'll be easy easy to access that way. But if it fits, I think I might have squirted up underneath there, so there's an inherent drip loop.
Yeah, there's three of them in there, so we got each almost covering the entire length of the sump. So now you've got, 8 to 16, 24 outlets ready to go. 20, yeah.
Yep, 24 outlets that we'll be able to plug in and control. And not all of them do I need to control stuff, but all of them have that power monitoring option that allows me to know when something broke.
Beneficial.
It stops using power, is using too much power. Yeah. So for the most part, I like to have things plugged into them if I can. Sometimes I'll just actually plug a power bar into it if it's low wattage stuff and like a bunch of power heads. I can plug all 8 of them into one. But, so that is the electrical solution. So
it turned out really nice.
Now the tank is ready. It's got power now. It has all the places I'm going to plug in. I feel like plumbing was a major movement forward. Now I have places when the equipment comes, I can actually plug it in permanently. Another major move forward for me.
True.
And so the tank is starting to become real, right? All right. So we also turned on the Ep6. So I am not going to I'm not going to bore you with how to program the Ep6 here, and I just turned all of the outlets to on for the moment.
Yeah,
right?
It doesn't matter. You're running fresh. You're going to drain all the water out of this thing anyway. Start off fresh. So,
it's just fresh water in there right now for a leak test. I'm going to get it all out. No leaks, by the way, other than the 2 threads we talked about last week. And tightened them up. It's no big deal.
Easy.
So, so that is electrical. Now we're going to move on to a different part of the electrical is what happens when there is a power outage.
Something we learned the hard way several times.
Yeah, so half the city goes out of power. What do you do? Okay, so this is the thing, man. I've solved this in a bunch of different ways, and all of them worked. And I just want to cover how they worked for me in the past so you can see where we ended up and why. But the first one was this thing. It's called an inverter. And this one's actually $89 because it's like 700 watts or it's a bigger one. But you can get them for as low as $30.
Right.
And they'll do like 200 watts or whatnot. And all you do is plug it into your battery on your car, or if you have a different battery laying around, that's fine too. But on your car, plug it into a battery, put it on there, and it will now run 200 watts, or in that case, 750.
Yeah.
And you can power the power heads there or whatnot on your tank. So that's what I did.
What do you think the runtime is on that?
Well, I'd run my car, actually. So I had a few times where the power went out for about 10 hours, and so I just ran and bought this thing at my local reef club told me this was the best option.
Yeah.
So I went out and bought that thing, and I just ran an extension cord out to my car, and I'd run my car every couple of hours or whatnot, and make sure that and it was fine.
That's pretty interesting.
It was a $30 solution. The only problems here is you have to be there,
yes,
to turn it on, notify the problem. You actually have to have this thing, so if there's a big power outage, don't be surprised if all of these things are gone.
They go quick.
It's $30. So next time you're at like Target, Walmart, Home Depot, whatever, spend the $30 right now, and then you'll have it, because you'll probably run into power outage at some point in time. This is a super easy solution.
Yep.
The only problem is, again, you have to have it on hand at all times. And the other problem is it's only going to do like your power heads. It's not going to manage your lighting and heating and stuff.
Which is fine for short term, yeah.
Not a really big deal unless it's like you happen to live in Minnesota and it's like -10 out.
Then you need heaters, and those draw a lot of watts.
Yeah, because your whole house is going to get cold pretty fast.
Yeah.
So not. For $30, it's a great solution. Even 70 or $80 is a great solution. So the next one here is actually another one my club told me to do, and I actually had a giant one of these down in the basement. But it's just one of those battery backups you plug your computer into.
And they say the heavier it is, the longer it lasts. And we did some investigates tests on that. And I think the max runtime that we got on a pretty low wattage, is an MP10. So it doesn't. It stays 100% when the power goes off, just supplies it with power. I think the longest runtime we got out of that was like 8 to 10 hours.
I thought it was like 7, but like a lot of them only did 4.
Yeah,
right?
Some of the different smaller batteries or different inverter sizes only lasted 4 or 5.
Yeah, you can go watch those videos and find out. But I think the longest one was 7, and it was a pretty big investment of like $180 or something. And then the cheap ones actually only got like 4 hours out of it. And I got to be honest, man, 4 hours doesn't really do me a lot of good.
No, not really.
It gives you just like a little bit of extra window.
But if your power's not back on within 4 hours, now you got to scramble in to find a different solution.
Yeah, and the problem was that brand brand new out of the box 4 hours. A year from now, it's 2 or whatever.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, so it's less.
Yeah.
So like that was a decent solution. A lot of people talk about it, but like they're kind of energy inefficient, transferring that AC
to
power
DC
into
back to-
DC or DC back into AC.
Yeah.
And they don't work as good as you think. I don't know. If you're going to use one, you probably have one for your computer. Plug your pump into it and just time it for how long it takes to turn off, and then you'll decide for yourself
2,
if
3,
it's a good
4
option.
hours? Yeah.
But actually, even better, go watch your Investigates, because we did like 8 different models.
Lithium-ion little
Yeah.
batteries and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
Not
the
a
best
good option.
solution was DC backup to DC pump, because that lasted like 80 some hours.
Yeah, so that's what this is. So this one is the next solution that I moved on to I used this actually at the warehouse for the first time, the old warehouse. So these are those battery backups from Ecotec. They make them for, Tunes makes one. They also make them for the Gyre, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's a way to back up
Yeah.
with the ice cap interface or something.
Yeah, so the cool thing about the Tunes one is you actually can go buy your own battery. So
Yeah.
you don't have to pay like markup.
Get a big
from
one, get a
4
small
different
one.
flavors. Like batteries are a commodity item you can buy anywhere. So they have a little thing you can put on there and use your own battery, which means you can get probably a week's worth of runtime if you want it out
Yeah.
of it. But anyway, those battery backups, those ones that go from DC to DC, you get like 3 days out of it.
Super efficient.
Yeah, and better yet, the most important thing is they turn on automatically when you're not around. Power goes out, power head's still going.
Well, and that's what I like about the Vortec one specifically, is that not only does it kick power onto the pump when the power goes off, but it actually lowers the intensity of your flow, meaning longer operation, less wattage draw, further operation with them.
Not optimal environment for the tank, but optimal life support safety mechanism. So yeah, that's good. So the next thing, actually, we had a big power outage here. There was like tornadoes that came through Minneapolis area. I don't know, this was like 6 years ago maybe. We got generators. So that's the next evolution that most people think of. And this is probably anywhere from $500 to $1,500 or so. And it's just a generator. You start it up, and it's a great option. So it's a great thing to have around. Especially the difference here is, like, people ask, should I buy a generator? And the first thing you should ask yourself is, when's the last time the power went out? And how long did it go out?
Yeah, because I personally, I haven't seen a power outage in like 2 years maybe, and kind of up where I live, I haven't seen a power outage.
So in my whole lifetime, I've had plenty of power outages. A vast majority of them are like 6-hour power outages. Like when I say vast majority, I mean like 95%.
Right.
In my whole life, I've seen a couple that lasted more than a day.
Right.
And this is the secret. And maybe you don't know this when you move to a new area or whatnot, but you can actually figure out really quick how long your power outage is going to be if you have one. For the most, or you can get a general pulse on it by looking how dense your area is. So when your power goes out, most power companies will figure out who they can help the most. So when they send the crew out, I can get 1,000 people back up by doing this, and I only get 400 people up doing this. And those guys over there's 10 people with a tree down. Those are actually dead last. So
townhouses, apartment complexes, really developed up areas coming on first.
Yeah, so if you live in like an area with tons of apartments and stuff, you'll probably be up first because it has the most households. Also, if you live in an area where they bury the lines underground, probably not an issue for you. Like, the power outages are really rare in that cases.
Right.
If you have power lines above ground, look around your neighborhood and decide whether or not anybody's trimming their trees. Because in my neighborhood, they're all intermingled. The trees and the power lines.
Over the power lines.
Yeah, it's terrible. So, I mean, I look at it every time, like, how could this be this way? Yeah, it looks terrible. So, if you're really well trimmed, but if they're above ground, storms, wind, broken branches, all kinds of different things, cars running into them, everything can make it go out.
So your specific area is the less of all of those. So it's got trees over the wires, it's not very population dense, and you could be out you're isolated, you could be out.
Yeah, so the trees bring the power lines down, I'm told, every other year or so.
Yeah.
And it usually takes 2 to 3 days to get them back up.
Okay, so you need a new solution because the generator is sitting around waiting is not going to do it.
Yeah, and so I could go get a generator, but here's the problem with that generator we just showed you, the $500 to $1,500 one, is it only works if you maintain it, and it only works if you're home. So it won't. You have to go start it.
Yeah.
And if you haven't started it in 4 years and you haven't like changed the oil and maintained
gas,
it, who knows if it starts when you need it?
That
who knows?
Gas can gel up over the wintertime and then heats up and cools and heats and cools. 4 years of that, I wouldn't trust anything that's in there.
So actually, the advice that I generally give people on this specific one is go out, don't buy this generator. And like you can make your own opinion on this one, but if you get a storm that's coming and it's going to blow this thing down, just have it in your mind that you are going to drive as far as needed to go get a generator. Right?
Yeah. And depending on the length and how many people rush to the stores to get the exact same thing, I mean, you could be thousands, thousands of miles.
No, it's probably not that. Probably storm comes through Minnesota and wipes out, some area, and we lose the power. And all the places locally will be out of generators instantly. But if I was willing to drive to like Chicago,
5 hours, 6 hours,
I'd probably almost certainly get one, right? Especially if I called up real quick and said, "Hold that and buy it," and I'll be down there in a minute.
Yeah,
7
6
hours. Yeah. But here's the thing: now I'm committing now to like driving somewhere if this ever happens. But it's brand new, out of the box, and
it's ready to go.
And like I won't have to worry about if it's going to work or not. I didn't waste that money during the whole period of time.
Gas it up when you're on your 6-hour drive back.
So this is a hotly debated topic. There is no wrong thing. Buy it, maintain it. It will work great. The one thing is don't buy it if you're not going to maintain it. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But if you're going to buy it, maintain it, and it'll probably work when you need it. And there's all kinds of other uses for it. It's a great thing to have around the house. For me, also, I'm doing I watched this video of the seminar that I did in Reef Proofing in New York last year. We called it the 10-year tank.
Yep.
And so for me, this thing is such a huge investment of like my heart and money, all kinds of different things are going into it. I just can't let it fail. It's time to take a bigger leap, and that was this thing. So this is a natural gas driven generator for the whole house. Does 20 megawatts or kilowatts or whatever it is.
It powers your whole house.
It powers the whole house. So when the power goes out, immediately it turns on, switches over, and powers the whole house.
Well, it kicks on every now and then too, doesn't it? Because I was walking by it when we were installing the tank into the house, and the thing started running. I was like, oh, making sure that it's constantly being ran.
Every 2 weeks, it starts up and then sends like through the email, like tells you whether it's working or not working.
Oh, nice.
And once a year, you do need to do an oil change, an oil change on it. So there's like a little bit of maintenance on it, but it's a small engine inside there. It's not particularly loud, and will power the whole house. So I could have got one, by the way, and these things are really expensive. One that runs like just the tank, I probably could have got installed for about $5,000.
Just the tank.
Yeah, and so that sounds insane, but it's just like it's protecting something so much more expensive. And my neighbors have already told me if you don't, it's just going to die.
Yeah.
I've just accepted the fate here, and that this is a part of living where I live, I guess.
That takes away the, in 10 years, how often do you think the power will fail? And if you're planning for a 10-year tank, 15-year tank, is it even feasible if you're not going to entertain something like this as a backup?
Yeah.
No.
No, it's not. You're just like setting yourself up to fail.
Yeah.
So in this case, I probably could have got a handheld one, but here's also the thing. At the end of the day, I don't want to live without power for 3 days every 2 years either. And so I'm willing to now take it up, and I think it was like $9,000 and change to do the whole house now. Now this is super expensive. There's no question about it, but also, I've been through all the other solutions. I've been doing it for 16 years. This is the dream tank.
Yeah.
I'm going to invest in my pets, which are going to grow with my family. And I want this to be an example of what a tank looks like when it's up this long. Not everybody needs a solution. I bet you 1% needs this solution. But if you're in an area that loses power for multiple days, like every other year, You just have to accept it.
It'd be worth looking into for sure.
Yeah. So take one of those options for you guys, but you should have one of them. Just go out and buy it. If you don't have any option, go out and buy the little $30 inverter. It'll probably save your tank when you need it at some point in time. You'll be happy you have it. It'll actually maybe come up with some other uses that are fun for it. All right. So next one, actually, this is like a tank safety theme.
Yeah, I know.
I guess.
So water, like the title says, water plus electricity plus power failure equals disaster.
Okay, so if you've never thought about the fact that there could be a fire under your tank, you should.
I've never planned for a fire to be on, like, I've never gotten, worried about my smoke detectors, fire alarms, fire extinguishers and stuff before around my tank. But I've always known in the back of my mind, like, this is a lot of water around a lot of electricity. Something bad could happen really easily.
So this happened to me once. I bought a used system that was pretty corroded. But it was a really good deal. And so I installed it in my office. We plugged the whole thing in, and it seemed like it was working good. And then we were leaving. And like just as I was closing the door, man, I thought I smelled something.
Like that electrical burning smell?
So I went back in, and sure enough, the hood's on fire. Right? And like not up bursting in flames, but like the T5s were corroded in there, and the end caps are all corroded, and they were smoldering, right? It would have been on fire had we left at that moment.
Right.
Unplugged it and like swapped all that stuff out. But like, there's all kinds of things here, man. This is saltwater, this is power, this is tons of cords everywhere. So let's get a fire extinguisher. So here's the thing, man. If you've never thought about putting a fire extinguisher in your room, it's going to become blatantly obvious. It's so cheap, like you just buy a fire extinguisher and put it in their room.
You should have one in the house anyway, but doubly so if you got a fish tank.
Yeah. So here's the kicker to the whole thing, though, is. Yeah, I want a fire extinguisher, but I don't want to nuke the tank at the same time. A little bit of fire is going on. I want to put it out, but I don't want to spray chemicals into my sump and kill everything. That's really sad. Now, if there's like a burning inferno, the tank's like the last of my thoughts. Like I need to protect my family. But if there's like a small little fire, I just want to put it out, and I don't want to like nuke the tank.
And there's tons of options too, or there's a bunch of options. So I can get A, B, C fire extinguishers. I can get water. I can get carbon dioxide. I can get all kinds of stuff. I have no idea even which one to get.
So I went looking, right, and then I started reading about it, and I got lost in it. And so I went and asked the community, and so this is what they came up with. So I asked hashtag #AskBrewsTV, and you can see like 80. Probably 95% of the people said carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. And almost everything else, almost irrelevant. That answer is wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so carbon dioxide smothers the fire by getting rid of all of the oxygen, and it goes out. And they're really great, and other gas ones are great for electrical fires. But
you got wood, you got plastic, and carbon dioxide does not really work well on those.
Yeah, so they don't work on combustible items like wood, plastic, all that stuff. Okay, so here's the thing: this is one of those things where I thought, like, man, so many people must have asked this question before.
If the overwhelming majority of the answer is carbon dioxide, that's one I should go with.
Right. Turns out, though, if you ever watch like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, sometimes the crowd is wrong.
The crowd is wrong,
and like sometimes grossly so. And you never really know, because like this question apparently is like not frequently asked. And so this is one of those things. Again, in that little speaker talk I did, you talked about don't ask everyone, ask someone. Yeah. Reach out to a mentor in your specific area, and that person will give you the right answer.
This hobby is full of subject matter experts on all, like your electrical stuff, on all kinds of stuff out there, non-hobby related. And we have one locally here who's a hobbyist and is very smart about fire extinguishers.
Yeah, so then he chimed in, Carl here. I don't know if you can read all that because he gave a wealth of information on how to do this.
So he's a hobbyist, and he actually comes and services all of our fire extinguishers here at BRS. He's done it for like several years now. And it looks like that diatribe was, Ryan, here's exactly what you need and exactly why.
Here's why. And so there's all kinds of little bits of tidbits information there. So go to #SpearsTV and go read it. But like we'll give you a little bit of it. And you know, he's like a hardcore reefer, and he maintains fire extinguishers and fire safety for all kinds of commercial buildings all over the place. And he's also where we got our zebra tang from the XXL 750
Oh, that's
from.
right. Thanks, Carl.
So part of the community. He dropped off a few of them for me, so this is the right one. It's called a water mist. Water mist fire extinguisher. They're relatively new, and this is what it does. Is it sprays out a finely misted water that like somehow sucks out the oxygen from around, and also obviously douses it with water.
Right.
But it works good on two different things. It's rated for both combustible items like wood and plastic,
right,
as well as electrical fires. And the reason that it works on an electrical fire is because it's deionized water, right? So it's ultra
We've all
pure.
heard that before, yeah.
Yeah, we all use that, right? So deionized water, it like will put out the electrical fire, will put out the combustible fire, and also when I spray it in my tank, won't hurt the tank.
Not worried about it. That's a solid choice.
That is the obvious choice once you hear it. Right? Like, of course.
Let's see what this one looks like.
Okay, so this is what it looks like a little bit, I think. So
the blue one.
Yeah, it's that blue one. It's they're a little bigger than your typical ABC one, and so I also threw an ABC one in there. Those are those powder ones. So if I happen to have a burning inferno, I can use that as well, I guess.
Yes.
I might put that one in the actually in the the other utility room right next to it. But I'll have that water mist one in there, and I'll be able to put out this fire if there ever is one. I hope there isn't, but like it's a very minimal investment to try to make sure. And you can kind of see right on the side of it here, I think there's that big, blue mist on it. And then on the other one down the bottom, it says like an ABC dry chemical powder one.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you're shopping for them, look for the right tool for the right job. It's not just to put out fire; it's also to protect the tank.
I didn't even know those mist ones existed.
I didn't
First
either.
time I ever saw it.
Yeah, I would have never known. I would have never known also just deionized water, but also there's like some fancy mist that comes out of it that actually sucks out the oxygen from around the fire.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, thank you, Carl, very much. Yeah, awesome. So Carl, in this case, man, my mentor for fire. And so hopefully you can inundate him with questions as well. But while I was at it, I mean, like this is the way my mind works. Once I get into one thing.
So you thought about the walls burning, you thought about insurance, which led to, okay, now we got to talk about
my pets.
Extinguisher and your pets.
Yeah.
And
so let's put in a fire alarm.
You might as well put in a fire alarm. You might as well put in a smart one.
Yeah, so I went and bought one of these Nest ones, actually, so that it's hooked up to my phone. So if not only if it goes off like we're all home, I hear a normal fire alarm, but this one will actually like send a text to my my phone and an alarm saying, "Hey, dude, your place is burning."
Yeah.
So maybe I'm like down the street and I can run home and use my new water mist.
I mean, that speaks to all the redundancy that we talk about with our fish tanks and like having monitoring, having alerts on our phone at any given time, no matter where you are. I mean, that's just a smart addition.
So my first question actually, like after I bought it, is I rang up Terrence over at Neptune, like, is this thing like Internet of Things?
Yeah.
And like we started to debate, and we're not really sure. There might be a way to actually do this, but like what I would love to see, I mean, I don't know how you do this thing, but a Apex ready fire alarm would be way cheaper than this NIST thing, and like bringing it to Ecotec.
It's already getting,
the Apex Ecosphere.
That's crazy. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. So we put that in, and so here's the thing. Next week now, we got power done, I got safety done, I've got water in there kind of, we're gonna get new water in there, I got all the plumbing, there's no leaks, we're ready for real water, right? Ready for real water. So get those questions coming in actually, because we're gonna answer some questions in just a second. But next week here is, you're gonna see the solution that I did for my water. This is also for drinking water, but it's the next frame. This right here is the contraption that is in my basement that allows us to have water in this house.
It is a monster of a contraption.
It's unbelievable the amount of stuff we had to do. And like, when you saw that like bacterial bloom earlier on, like you can see that the reason why we have all of this stuff down in here to filter all this water. My water's terrible.
500 some TDS, all kinds of stuff in it, silicas.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I don't know. Did you find any questions?
No, not today.
All right. So here's the thing, man. Is like if you guys are going to come along like next week, we're going to put in the salt water into the tank. We're going to show you the water change solution probably, and we're going to show you how we're going to make water using that contraption. So check it out.
So your tap water is not going to be the solution like what's running through there now, but. How much, just a preview, how much TDS comes out after the end of all that contraption?
You're not going to believe this, actually, because this defies all logic here. But if you click on that thing one more time, there's an RO system in here that takes my 500 TDS water down to 1. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it either. So
raise this question: what we're going to use?
How does it work? You know, how are you going to do that? So yeah, we're going to find that out next week. And so for a lot of you guys, you ask all the time about how we do or how do I get notified of this. So check out this link right here. You can go on over to our page. You'll see the live link right there. Hit the set reminder, and you'll be notified next week. We talk about how do we make salt water for this tank, how the water change is going to be done, and everything we know. And then we're going to be ready for fish and stuff pretty soon. So check it out.